Hi everyone, Andy and Arden here from Meridian Australis. We're gonna see Arden's process here of submitting some short stories to some publications. Arden, feel free to take it away.
Yeah, sure. So one of the first things to figure out is where you're going to submit. And this can be challenging for people, especially if you're sort of not used to it. It can be quite daunting. There are literally hundreds of different markets you can submit to. A good way to actually keep track of them all is the submission grinder. So I've got the homepage for the submission grinder on the screen now. This is it's an invaluable tool. It'll allow you to track your own submissions, but also to kind of find the places where you'll want to submit your stories to. So how this all works is I have an account already. It's free to sign up, free to use. If I go to manage pieces, then it'll show you a list of all the stories that I have written, submitted, and some statistics for each of them. So today we're going to focus on this top one here, conversation for lies. I'll show you what this actually looks like if I press update. I can put in any sort of information I would like to about the story. So I can put in my word count. For poetry, you can do line count, rough genre, any other tags you want to put in when you've completed it. Some of this information is just useful for your own benefit, but others, like the word count, can be really useful for finding places to submit. So if I just go back, what I can do now is I can use this information I've put in and press run search. This is the search interface. This will allow you to find effectively all the publications you can imagine that will accept a piece of your length and genre. So this is where putting the information in helps because I've put these filters in already. The trick, and they've highlighted it here as well, if you put 0 cents in original pay, it will make it so only paying markets show up, which you should do. Do not write for free. You can, if you want to, you can select market qualifications, but I'm not too fast. I'll go any qualification. These are all fairly self-evident. The only term that I will change here is I will exclude markets where I have pending responses. A lot of markets do not like you to do a simultaneous submission, so I check that box. Once that's done, press search, and I let it do its thing. It can take a little bit while it kind of gets all the data in order. Some SQL in the background, I'm sure. There we go. And as you can see, it's populated this list with a bunch of different publications, quite a few. Best thing to do here, I think, is first of all, let's sort this by paper word in reverse order. So the different categories here are fairly, I think they're fairly self-explanatory. The name of the piece. This green O means that it is open for submissions. Genres, these are the genres it accepts. You can mouse over them to see what each of them are. Lengths, this talks about whether it's flash fiction, short stories, novelettes, novellas. Average response time, how long you can expect to wait before you get a response. And LD is limited demographics. So some places will have only specific demographics that can submit at a certain time. For instance, Lunar Station Quarterly is only women writers can submit to. Does that all make sense so far?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Brilliant. So what I will do is I will go to Factor 4 magazine. So this is a quite a reputable publication. I've had some success with these guys before. When you left click on it, it takes you to this page, which tells you a bit of a description about what the publication's about, reiterates what their genres are, gives you a bit more of an in-depth look at what's going on here. So important things to highlight: multiple submissions and simultaneous submissions. What this means is multiple submissions. You can only submit one piece to this publication at a time. And simultaneous submissions means that you can only submit a piece to this publication and nowhere else until you receive feedback on that piece. So I can't send a story out to 7 different publications. I can only do them one by one. And that's partially to make sure that they don't get swamped by people just blasting them with all the stories they could possibly have. But it's also to make sure that when you are submitting timelines don't get screwed up for the editors. Because the last thing they want to do is accept a piece and then in the space between them accepting and you hearing from it, you publishing that piece elsewhere, especially if they're buying exclusive rights. This is some of the stuff that I love to see, but it's not for everyone. It looks a bit scary, but it's very, very simple. This is your data for the responses from publication. This is where you can tell how active the publication is, how many submissions there are, and also what kind of, I don't want to say what percent chance because a good story will find a home, but what the aggregate is for who is actually getting through and who is not. So you can see here acceptance rate 2.61%, which is pretty standard, about a month response time. Most rejections come within 12 days. With only almost 2% are personal. Most of them are form, which I think is an interesting stat. Most places will have either more or none. So could be some errors in reporting there. Who knows? These charts here, this is how many submissions or rejections are recorded for each day or each period of time. You can see there are some little green acceptances and these purple ones are all pending. If I go and look at response timeline for a second, this is when they have gotten back to people. And this is an important chart to look at. This is kind of where you can compare where your piece is against everyone else's. So when I have a submission here, mine will come up as a little purple dot and it will tell you how many days it's been since I've submitted. And I can use that to go, oh, well, look, if I've passed the 17, 18 day mark, more likely that I'm going to get accepted than if I'm still just over here. Some people drive themselves mad looking at this stuff, but your mileage may vary. So how to submit. Two things. First of all, right click, open their website in a new tab.
It's a great asset to have that there, everything just all ready to go.
Absolutely. It's got everything in one place. So I'll go to Factorful Magazine. Every website will look different. This one is fairly standard. If you go towards the top up here, you'll see they have a big tab that says submissions. Some places hide this in their About Us, or you just have to do a little bit of searching, but that's part of the process. Left click on submissions. Go down. These guidelines are useful to read. Often they are actually copied across into the submission grinder, but it's good to just double check and make sure that you understand all the things being asked here. A lot of it's going to be quite standard. Manuscript format. This is something that I think we'll cover at a separate time, but it is worth noting that 90% of the places you'll submit to will ask for a standard manuscript format. If I keep going down here, sometimes they'll show you what a sample contract looks like. Here we go. Submission manager. There are many different submission managers. There's Moksha, there's Submittable. These guys and Haven, I think, also have their own particular interface. So here we have their submission interface. I've already got an account. If I didn't, I would put all my information in here and I would create a new account following these steps on the screen. But I already have one, so I'm going to log in. Excellent. Now I'm going to submit my work. Very, very standard. Put your name in, title of your submission, and comments. So comments, this is your opportunity to write a cover letter. Cover letters should be short. I think that Clarkswell has a really good sample of what that needs to look like. An effective cover letter should basically tell you a quick one-line summary of not what the story is about, but what the story. Maybe you could talk about thematically what the story is about, but don't give a summary of the synopsis. They're going to read the story. A quick statement about previous spaces you've been published, or if you're an unpublished author, that can be useful as well. And then finally, many places will ask you to include a bio written in third person. This is something that you really should have a kind of boilerplate default that you can copy and paste into most places, because they'll ask you for the same thing. Don't agonize over a cover letter. But for the exercise here, I would type it up. So for this particular piece, we go. That's my statement about the piece.
So it's about being quite to the point, I imagine, yeah?
Yeah, if it takes more than sort of one sentence to give you that snapshot, then I think that's probably overdoing it. Three publications is a good number. Try and keep them relevant to the place you're submitting. So the reason I put Escape Pod in here is because it's relatively well known. If you have any awards or prizes, it can be useful to mention that as well. So I might write something like, uh, that. Um, Once that's done, bio. Now, bio can be really, really simple, and I won't type my whole bio out here, but it should just basically tell you something about where where you're from, um, why you write, and something quirky or interesting about you. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. Once you've put that all in and you've filled out these forms, you simply press choose file, go here, look at wherever you save the file.
Very organized, Arden. I'm glad it's very organized.
There you go. And I've got it open, so I'll submit this one instead. Once it's in there, press submit and you're done. So that's how that all works. Once you press the submit button, if I go back to here, you should also log submission. So this is where you put in the details about your submission. So you put in which date it was sent, whichever date you get an acknowledgement email. So usually it's going to be the same day, especially if it's automatic. These will all be pending. It's pending response. Piece is already filled out. Don't have to put notes in and then press save submission. Once you've saved your submission, you can actually go and have a look at the submission tracker, which will allow you to track all your submissions in one place. That's actually just how you do any electronic submission. I think that is applicable for every single place you'll use. Some locations will ask you to submit via email. If that's the case, you will do exactly the same thing, only via your email service. So I would simply go to Gmail and I would type out exactly the same thing, the cover letter, the bio, attach the file and send it. It's just about making sure you look closely at the publication that you're going for. And yeah, that's probably the best way of doing it. Something that is useful to do as well, I think, is if you don't have a specific piece in mind, but you want to see what's out there. If I want to see what sort of places are going to publish, say, a 7,000 word story, or actually, let's make it easy. Let's say 5,000 word story in fantasy that are paying, and I won't exclude. If I just want to have a look and see what that looks like, it can be a great exercise for you to then go, okay, I'm going to select this particular publication. I'm going to look at what they actually value, the sort of things they publish, and then write for the market. I don't think that you should necessarily change your writing to suit a market, but you should definitely be aware of the tropes of certain markets before you submit. So yeah, looking through this whole list here. For instance, Clark's World says that they publish fantasy, but I think that they've published probably 2 fantasy stories in the last 12 months. So it's always worth checking and seeing exactly what their style of publication is. And as you go down the list, you can kind of see they get slightly more obscure. It's these big names here that really are the kind of gold standard, and that's where most people should be aiming to get their stories. To start here and work your way down. Any questions?
No, that's fantastic. I myself have yet to actually. I've looked at the grinder, but I've never actually made an account with it for all the numbers and stats can be intimidating for someone like me, but it looks like it's actually a better way of narrowing down the instead of the hard way I've been doing it with making my own lists and rechecking, and I'm putting a lot of more work into it than I should be really. If this is this seems to be solve a lot of those issues for me. So yeah, appreciate you showing us how this works and how it can be used to help us with our submitting.
No worries at all.